Interestingly, Amy, the way that this came to my attention was that there are people inside NBC News, including some very recognizable and high-profile journalists, who were very angry that, first of all, when NBC News with Brian Williams reported on the killing of those 4 boys on the beach, instead of having their journalist who made this event known to the world and who witnessed it firsthand, Ayman report on it, they instead had Richard Engel in Tel Aviv do the reporting, and Ayman never appeared at all on the nightly news broadcast. But that you can chalk up to sort of standard network news machinations about who's a bigger star and who's more senior and the like. But what was really stunning was later that day, after what arguably was his biggest or one of his biggest events in his journalism career, where he really made a huge impact on having the world understand what's happening in Gaza, they not only blocked him from appearing on the air to talk about it on NBC News, but then they told him to leave Gaza immediately. And when I interviewed NBC executives and the like, none of whom would talk to me on the record, but who talked to me on background and the like, they claimed that the reason they told him to leave was because they had security concerns, not specific to him, but just general ones, about whether journalists could be safe with the imminent Israeli ground invasion. And yet, as you just said, later that day, they sent into Gaza not only Richard Engel, but also a producer who works for NBC, who had never been to Gaza, who doesn't speak Arabic, who doesn't know the area at all, in contrast to Ayman, who's been there for many years, who speaks fluent Arabic, and who's a very experienced war reporter. And so it raises very serious questions about what the real reason is that they told him over his objections that he had to leave.
And Glenn, there were the questions raised about not just whether NBC was concerned about his reporting, but also about his posts on social media. Could you talk about that as well?
What happened on the day that he witnessed the beach attacks was he posted some incredible tweets and as well some amazing photos and videos on both his Facebook and Instagram accounts about the reaction of the parents of the Palestinian boys learning right that moment that they had been killed. Very, very powerful stuff. And he had also tweeted a couple of what I guess in the network news business is viewed as some unusually pointed tweets about the position of the U.S. government. Namely, the State Department spokeswoman was asked about this killing, and she essentially absolved Israel and blamed Hamas, what the U.S. government always does, even in the most egregious cases of Israeli war crimes. And he went on to Twitter and Facebook and posted some very mild comments, essentially noting what the State Department had said, and then inviting people to comment on it. And later that day, he deleted it. There's speculation that he was either asked to delete it or that was a cause in why he was removed. I don't know whether that's the case at all, because there's still questions about what the real reason is. But certainly, the whole context of what has happened here is that he is a very unique reporter, especially for a network news position. You know, the kind of reporting that the amazing reporting that we just hear from Sherif usually is not the kind of reporting that you hear on the network news. And Ayman does that kind of reporting, and he's been criticized for it by neoconservative outlets, calling him a Hamas sympathizer and the like. And so for NBC to remove him at exactly the moment where he brought the humanity of this war and the humanity of Gazans to the world, at the same time that he posted some tweets that in network newsland would be considered controversial because it questions the U.S. government and the Israeli position, at the very least looks awful. And I think for NBC News' credibility demands that they provide some answers about what really happened here.
I'm honored to count Ayman as a close friend. He's truly an incredible reporter. And when we're talking about Gaza, literally, I don't think that there is a better reporter in the world who understands Gaza, an international correspondent, that is, who understands Gaza, who has covered Gaza as much. There literally isn't another reporter, international reporter, who's covered all 3 Israeli assaults on Gaza, the 2008-2009 assault, the 2012 assault, and the assault that we're undergoing now. He's connected here. He understands the place. He understands the area. He's always the first guy at the story. And we saw his incredible reporting in these past few days. It was really noted if you looked at media discussion sites and other columns, noting how NBC was totally changing its coverage compared to the other U.S. networks. And this was was Ayman's goal all along. When he first left Al Jazeera after 2011 and moved to a mainstream U.S. network, this was what he had in mind, is to bring this kind of coverage that is never or very, very rarely seen on the corporate media in the States, and he was succeeding in doing that. And we don't know the reasons why he was taken out of Gaza. You're taking one of the most experienced reporter in Gaza out of Gaza, citing security reasons is just not very credible. So we don't know why they removed him, whether this was a fight about a bigger star and having Engel come in, or whether it was about that his coverage was really having a serious effect, showing the true side of this assault, the true side of this conflict, and that political considerations came into play.